I see it. After this chapter, the break begins. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do want to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Another fun fact, here we are to do a breakdown and review of chapter 125? 5 of Kagurabachi, which is known as, it's on the first page. So I'm intrigued and excited. I've heard that it is going to be a month and a half, a 2-month break for Kagurabachi. Honestly, I don't mind it too much, if only for the fact that I do want to make a couple of my thoughts videos about Kagurabachi, which is perfect, considering they're going to be like a mix of part 2 thoughts and part 1 thoughts. Obviously, I've always had the time to do part 1 thoughts, but part 2 has had a variety of things I do want to talk about that I'm very intrigued with. So there's that. But, that being the case, you know I gotta... I have it on me, I keep it on me at all times, but it's still peak Kagurabachi. It's peak. Every week it drops. I'm not going to say every single week, because we're literally going into break. But regardless, I hope Takeru Hokuzono Sensei gets the rest that they need. Hope that everything is alright with them, and I hope that they can take all the time to do whatever must be done. But let's not waste more time. Let's hop right into chapter 125. Let's see.
The Mikaboshi have tremendous life force. However, I don't see how that alone could allow them to adapt to the immense power of the Dotenseki.
Interesting. That's just a thing on their end. They just have that. Huh. Alright. That's weird. I mean, like, not necessarily weird. It's possible. And to be fair, we do know that there are beings just with intense and, like, higher levels of life force in this universe. I forget what Char's clan was called. They weren't Mikaboshi, I don't think. I don't think they were Mikaboshi, because Mikaboshi is a recently introduced concept. But, or not recently introduced. Essentially, I don't think Char's family was the Mikaboshi. I'm gonna look it up now. I forget if the clan even got a name or not. I just know Char, who we haven't seen in literal ages, is a being with that intense vitality that allowed them to stabilize the enchanted blades. And I believe at this point, that's what they're going to do. Kiyonagi, the Kiyonagi clan. There we go. So it was the Kiyonagi clan. But the Kiyonagi are not the Mikaboshi. But we know the Kiyonagi have a fantastic regenerative and healing ability, and do have tremendously high life force. Notably, just in their biology. It isn't implied to be anything magical. It just is how they are. So the Mikaboshi are like them, but there's something even further beyond that allows them to manipulate the Dotenseki, which is a principle that I assume is going to be infused into the enchanted blades. Maybe something with the internal contract? Let's see.
And Dotenseki,
our ancestors prayed fervently.
When the Mikaboshi speak of prayer...
Oh. Do they sacrifice people? What book is he reading? Where'd you get this book from? Oh no, let's see.
In all of these texts, from what I can glean, in order to possess the power of the Dotenseki, the Mikaboshi paid intense human toll.
Interesting. So the rock is alive. I mean, it makes sense, but like how? How? I mean, unless it's literally implied that, like, I'm not sure which way I'm supposed to take this, right? My brain is immediately going in 2 directions. Part of me on the idea of the rock, like, human toll, people being sacrificed in order to pay the human toll, part of my brain wants to say Philosopher's Stone from Full Metal Alchemist, where I'm legally allowed to spoil Full Metal Alchemist, right? How old is that? I can skip 2 minutes ahead if you don't want to spoil Full Metal Alchemist. Philosopher's Stones are people, alright? like that. No way to sugarcoat it. Philosopher's Stones are people. So yeah, you get to break all the rules of Clone Exchange, but you aren't really, because you're playing in human souls, aka the most valuable thing that universe basically has to offer. So that's that human toll to gain power that transcends the limits of alchemy, right? The equivalent exchange that is the foundation of that universe, because you're paying equivalent exchange, just that you yourself aren't paying it. The human souls you've imbued in the stone is paying it. So that may be the case for the Dotenseki, or it literally eats people. In the sense of, like, it's actually sentient. Because notably, the thing with the Philosopher's Stone is that while sentient beings could be formed around them, that's what the homunculi are from Full Metal, they themselves don't eat people, right? Like, they that's not a thing on their own. They have set limits and stuff like that. And these Philosopher's Stones themselves aren't necessarily sentient. But if the Dotenseki is meant to be sentient, and obviously the Enchanted Blades, as we know from part 1, do have a form of will / sentience of their own, where they can legit be commanded to go beyond their limits or to die in certain ways or respond and resonate to their wielder in certain ways, maybe the Rock just does eat people? Or like, if not literally eat people, the Rock will respond accordingly depending on what you give to it. If I had to hazard a guess. I just want to know where you got these books from. I don't know that. Let's see.
Paying an immense human toll. Anything we have that's written could be minutes.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So they're doing this based on Soga clan text. I was wondering, how'd you get these? Let's see. But interesting that the Soga clan knew that, though. I thought the implication was the second the Soga clan realized Mikaboshi escaped, their main guy went over with Kurotsuchi and sunk the island, killing them all. But maybe that was one of the last things he witnessed before he did that, and then it's after that they ended up, becoming the water people. Let's see.
Anything we have that's written could be misinformation relayed by the Soga clan. The truth is unclear, but you've seen it yourselves. The fate that awaits those who channel spirit energy into the Datenseki.
Yeah, that is very, like, and I think they've described it this way, but it's an interesting feedback loop, right? Like, the idea that you can provide so little to something, and then it'll exponentially reproduce that, and then like release the produced energy. It is very akin to us, right? Like think about it like us. We can eat something that is maybe 100 calories, and it can power us way more than it should, right? Something that is 100 calories, like for example, or even not. Let's say something even less than that. A single donut hole, right? I could eat a single donut hole. I could eat nothing for like a day or two. Eat a singular donut hole and go do a feat that is way more expressive than that singular donut hole would imply, right? Like for example, just today, I didn't eat anything all day. I haven't drank anything all day at the time of recording. But earlier today at the gym, I did 16 pull-ups. I'm a big guy. That's not normal. Or like that's not proportional to what I eat. We obviously, as systems, we draw out much more energy and can produce much more energy than what we take in. So the Datenseki is essentially doing that. They're just playing to the idea that the stone is alive, right? You put energy into a system and then release that energy back out. And obviously, whenever we release energy through like motion and or physical labor, we are doing just that. We are taking in energy, which is food and liquids, and then we are expressing out. We are expressing that force out. So I'm guessing the Datenseki is alive in that sense. It's like a living system that will immediately byproduct and explode you, but clearly the Mikaboshi have found a way to avoid that part. Let's see.
It is our god. It's undeniable. Originally, the Datenseki was something humans were never meant to touch. Forbidden fruit.
But why was it there? Right? Like, I mean, to be fair, the world is just full of nonsense, right? Like, I've used this example all the time. But describe an elephant to someone who's never heard of nor seen an elephant. Heck, put someone who has heard and seen elephants right next to an elephant. I would still be amazed. Like, I've been close enough, not right next to, but I've seen elephants. They still don't make much sense. I've seen whales. They still, like, I understand they exist. They're living creatures. They're real. Still doesn't seem legit. And even, of course, there are metals like that. Like, when you think of platinum, and all the things you can do with platinum, it's wild that it just exists. It just happened. Gold is cool, but it doesn't really do all too much on its own. It's good for like filaments and stuff like that, but still, it doesn't do all too much on its own. But still, gold is even crazy. Still, like a lot of metals, and heck, think of certain compounds that they just exist, right? Not even like made, just naturally produced by the world, and then what energy is contained in them and what we can do with them. Yeah, the world is weird, and obviously this is a magical world, so it makes sense that. Like, in universe, it makes sense that something like the Datenseki does exist, possibly as, like, an automatic universal response to the arising of sorcery in the world. But also, still, it's kind of wild that this just was on an island nearby. Just is. Okay. Things just happen. And hey, once again, this is one of those things where I will accept the world-building conceit, right? There are some things in a narrative where I'll always be like, I feel like that should have an explanation. And part of me would be like, this should have an explanation, because it's so foundational, right? Everything that the narrative is about is based on the Datenseki. The Mikaboshi, which led to the war, which led to the Enchanted Blades, all based on the Datenseki. So you think the Datenseki getting an actual explanation for why it exists would matter, but personally, it's a rock. And the world is weird. and it's a magical world. So I'll let it slide because I don't think it needs an explanation. Would I be mad if Hokuzono gave us one? Not necessarily, but I don't know. Kagurabachi, in a very different vein to its fellow new gen, Ichi the Witch, I don't see Kagurabachi ending with us fighting God. I think we're fighting Akimura, right? Like that's what we're doing. The narrative of Kagurabachi, while it definitely is based on like power and control and the influence that those with power and control have over others, I don't see this ending with us fighting some sort of divinity. So, with that being the case, yeah, sure. Giga Magic Rock just exists on island. Evil people get it first. Less evil people get it again. Make super weapons. These things happen. Kagurabachi is a story about characters. What's it? Never meant to touch. Forbidden fruit. Oh, chapter 125. Smelting. Alright, let's see. Alright, we're getting a lore drop. And so we're just standing back being like, hey, if this explodes on you, kid, I don't care. Let's see. Tatara smelting is the technique that produces tamahagane, an extremely high-quality steel with very few impurities. It's the raw material used to make Japanese katana. Y'all made that? Good to know. Let's see. The supple strength of the tamahagane derives from the semi-fusion state, in which carbon isn't evenly melted throughout. Isn't evenly melted throughout the material. This delicate irregularity is impossible to reproduce even with the most cutting-edge smelting technology. That is another thing that is just weird, but also true. Yeah, there's some things that just don't. For example, and to be fair, people are still trying to crack it to the day, and probably eventually will. But like, and in some ways we have, right? We do have the concept of surrogate mothers and stuff like that, and the idea that you can save like embryos and things that go in embryos, or embryos and then the things that make embryos. You can save those and freeze them and stuff like that. But like, we still haven't really cracked like life, right? Like not in the traditional sense, and life just happened, right? Like, even, and whichever way you want to put it, whether you go from the scientific or even theological, like life happened, just was. The world wasn't alive, then it did. And we know it's through like chemical reactions based on inanimate materials being reacted to in the early stages of life on Earth, right? Like we get how it happened, but we ourselves have not, outside of the pre-made ability to create more of us, we have not cracked life in the sense that it exists. And yeah, on smaller levels, stuff like smelting, there are many different things that can only be done by like human hand or particular pathways that haven't found more optimal or efficient ways, because that's just how things go. Let's see. Cutting-edge smelting technology. For 3 days and nights, the artisans manually feed iron sand and charcoal into a clay furnace while aerating it with a bellows. Only this ancient method can produce tamahagane. Alright. So they're risking it. They presumably put the Datenseki in there and trying to let it burn. Let's see. March 27th, noon. 7 hours after beginning the bellowing process. Oh, this is the guy that whatchamacallit, that Subaru Rita, he said he was good, right? This is one of the government agents. Let's see. Because this isn't Shin, this isn't Shiba. This isn't Shiba or the guy that they were working with initially. Let's see. Yep. The Mr. Joji, the guy with the superhero mask, the domino mask. And the nose ring. Very interesting design. Domino mask and nose ring. I like it. Let's see. Oh, Mr. Joji. Stop at once. Even if Mr. Hasumi is willing to overlook this, I won't stand for it. You're the guy from the other day. How did you find this place? Good question. Let's see. Urita-sensei. I suspected you were involved. I asked around, and the trail of information led me here. Ah, interesting. So, I mean, to be fair, makes sense. Interconnected world, and yeah, no duh. They would do everything in their power to track them down. Very interesting, though. It doesn't seem like Mr. Joji's here on orders, or even professionally. He's here on his own. Entirely by himself. He didn't like come with a whole brigade to lock everything down. I'm in a leadership role at the lab, so I had a bit of a head start. But you'll be having more visitors from HQ any minute now. Okay. So yeah, he did come independently, presumably out of respect for Subaru, and maybe even Shiba, but especially Subaru. Let's say. You'll have more visitors from HQ any minute now. Oh, is that that's the Masumi, right? Or maybe like other members of the Masumi. It doesn't look like Maki Sumi or Moku Sumi or Ro, but still looks like Masumi members. Let's see. From HQ any minute now. They won't be as patient as me.
Stop while you still can. Where's the Datenseki?
Oh. Oh. Alright. Well, that's crazy. We pulverized it.
Huh?
Actually, I like this guy's an amazing Zap profile too, and I like the hair. Let's see.
Tatar is the first step in forging. Traditionally, we use coal sand.
Wait, why are there two of him? This is one panel. Are you just blitzing? Let's see.
However, to use iron ore, we have to start by crushing it into fine particles, like sand.
Wait. Okay, I'm not tweaking. There are three of them. I'm not tweaking. They drugged him, right? I'm guessing they drugged him. Probably. Let's see.
Why? Why are there so many of you, Rita-sensei?
Magically, oh, this probably is. It's a sorcery. I'm guessing it's a sorcery. It's probably a sorcery. But all right, that's crazy thing. I don't know. I'd be so thrown off by that. Like the ability, like, and to be fair, I've always talked about how I myself wouldn't like clones, but being able to cash, like pay money, to be able to cast multiple illusions of me actually would be kind of fun. That would be really interesting. And like notably, the thing I would consistently do if I had an ability like this, especially if they were truly like illusions and like intangible, I would have them do the dumbest things and have people be confused solely for the meme. Let's see.
Why are there so many of you, Orita-sensei?
All right. Yeah, they're all moving. Let's see. Oh, okay. So no, these are. Ooh, my word. Let's see.
Excuse me. At Sushi Subaru, there is a legend that the master chef makes sushi, takes orders, washes dishes, and does deliveries all at the same time.
Ooh. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I don't know. My allergies get me.
The answer is simple. My sorcery is multiplication.
That's broken. That's really cool though. That's broken. Hey, cloning, actual genuine cloning, really really cool. Would I want that? Hey, they're complete. If I can dismiss them, I don't know. I'd still be scared. Let's see.
The Tatar process requires many hands. I'm uniquely suited to the job.
Yeah, it does. Hey, that works out. Do they get tired? Are they sentient? Do they follow exact orders? How does this cloning work? Do I have to add it to the safe list or the list of powers I wouldn't want? Let's see.
Uniquely suited to the job. Urgh. Mr. Joji. Yes, I get it. This is a crazy stunt to say Princess Chiaki. But you know very well that Princess Chiaki's prophecy also touched on the Enchanted Blade plan. She warned that smelting the Datenseki was dangerous. She saw a colossal accident.
That's interesting. So her predictions, I mean, maybe it does happen and Chiba saves them. Or her predictions could just be wrong. Or it could go into like an even... Is Kagurabachi a story about fate? I mean, I guess thanks to the now future telling powers, it is in a way a story about fate, but and breaking it. And breaking away from predetermined destiny and stuff like that. But at the same time, that's an interesting idea that maybe her prophecies could just be wrong. Let's see. Interesting. Explosion makes sense. They ground it, especially if they ground it all up and are using it all at once, and then boom, it destroys everything. Let's see.
What if the explosion reaches the city? At this rate, you're heading down the path the prophecy warned against. This is exactly what Princess Chiaki didn't want.
Oh, you can see. And you can. I like this though. Especially based on his design, you wouldn't think he'd be like such a genuine good person. Except you could argue like the Domino Mask implies superheroes, which does lean into that. But still, you can see that even Shiba's like, man, maybe like not like he's listening and he's considering. Where before he was very calm. He was very relaxed. Oh, you're here. All right, whatever. We'll keep it pushing anyway. But at the mention of Chiaki, who Shiba was his genuine friend, right? Like her genuine friend. Obviously, the main dynamic between Chiaki and another character, even if we know Chiaki's wasn't involved or even mentioned really throughout part one, the main one is Chiaki and Kunishige, who's they end up making Chihiro. But Shiba was her friend too. And while she doesn't love Shiba, that was one of her few connections that she had outside of her own family. So obviously, when hearing of Chiaki's wishes, when dealing with that interaction, he still did like it will do something to him. It will reach into his heart in a way that does give him pause. Let's say,
I get how you feel, Mr. Hasumi too, but it won't reach the city. Oh? The point of the prophecies is that people involved can make choices to preempt them, right? That's why you need to stop.
well, Oh yeah, that's right. The whole point of Chaki's prophecy is that they're meant to be preventative. So yeah, no duh. Yeah, it still doesn't necessarily is a story about fate. It's a story about using information you have. Let's see.
We'll just adapt our approach. What? We aren't smelting the Datenseki by itself. We're mixing it in with approximately 10 times as much
Oh, interesting.
We're mixing it in with approximately 10 times as much pebbled magnetite in the furnace. Pebbled what? Like steel lumps.
Interesting. So to damper it, so essentially they're distilling it a whole lot. So even the heat and pressure, a lot of it's going to be absorbed by, like, it'll still be like the Datenseki will presumably still be allowed to smelt. But one of the biggest issues, right? They said whenever they introduce heat to it or energy to it, essentially exploded anyway, right? Still cause a massive explosion. So by putting in magnetite, which I assume just absorbs a lot of heat, they're tampering it down. Let's see.
Pebbled magnetite is an iron ore that has good yield, and it's way easier to smelt than iron sand. We're infusing the Datenseki into a large quantity of pebbled magnetite. The Datenseki reduced to fine grains that aren't densely clustered together. The effect of each individual particle is weakened.
Right, okay. So it is distilling. It's essentially watering the Datenseki down. Which, hey, logical reasoning, logical way to make that work, yet still respect the power of it and know that this still could go wrong, but working differently. And that's interesting. So that means the Enchanted Blades themselves are a lot less distilled, or they're a lot less focused than they could be. That's very interesting. Despite being, I thought they were composed of pure Datenseki. No, they aren't. They are composed of hyper-distilled Datenseki. So hypothetically, if I'm understanding this right, the Enchanted Blades could have been even stronger if they went with a more riskier path of forging, but clearly that riskier path in another timeline, or in the hypothetical future Chiaki saw, led to an explosion and massive death. Let's see.
If there's an explosion, the force will dissipate. The shockwaves won't exceed a radius of 200 to 300 meters. Only we would die.
Right. Because they still acknowledge that they're taking a risk by experimenting in this way, but at the same time, they're willing to do it for the sake of the nation, and obviously, in Shiro's case, for the sake of the woman he loves. Which Subaru directly supports. Once again, I really like Subaru so far. I'm interested to see him in the war, because we do know he gets an Enchanted Blade. And I want to see him in the modern narrative, because he's already looking like late 40s, early 50s here, so 18 years later, he should be nearly in his 60s. But then again, Itsuo Shirokai is also implied to be very, very old. I'm pretty sure part 1 him is current him, or like near current or modern him. At least we've seen close to near or current modern him, and he still seems to be a viable threat. So being old in this universe doesn't accidentally or incidentally knock you out of the combat. Probably is like every other anime universe, the older the man, the stronger they are. Let's see.
Only we would die.
Joji's like, huh. Well, I don't think I'm cool with that still, but you're doing that right now. I low-key don't want to be blown up. No, I'm kidding. Let's see.
Apparently, his eyes are covered by a special membrane.
Oh, so we're actually getting a genuine explanation to the Rokugura eye. You know what? I will give credit to this. The Hokuto Sensei has done a good job of like sprinkling in a lot of weird, like, not even weird things, just little world building details into the universe. Like one of the details being that there are these different clans with these different abilities and these different physical specs that just are a part, that are not necessarily tied into any sort of magic, right? Or any sort of sorcery. Because there is a distinction, right? Like, for example, One Piece, Bounty Rush. But One Piece is a series with two interlinked yet distinct power systems. There is the DF power system, and then there's the Hockey power system. They both exist, and they interact and intermingle. But also, there is a secret third, or not secret, pretty oblique, is that the word I'm looking for? Pretty obvious, I'd say, power system. And it's the different races in One Piece. Not even races, realistically. The different species in One Piece. There's a lot of humans in the One Piece world, but there are fishmen. There are the giants. There are the ancient giants. There's differences. There's subspecies within the species of, like, ancient giants and stuff like that. So obviously there are beings that have certain preferences, or not preferences, but powers and abilities that are unique to their species, having nothing to do with what kind of hockey they have or what DF they have. Same case for something like Seven Deadly Sins. It's a universe with a very specific and very in-depth at this point magic system, but also there are the different species that have their abilities that are entirely tied to their biology and not necessarily having anything to do with their magic. Though, of course, the stronger they are in magic, sometimes they can amplify their innate species abilities. And it's the same thing with the Kagurabachi universe, except it's even more subtle because it doesn't go as far as to establish uniquely different species, let's say, in the same way that a One Piece or a Seven Deadly Sins does, where a human, a demon, a goddess, and a giant and a fairy from Seven Deadly Sins are all very fundamentally distinct races created by fundamentally distinct deities. Meanwhile, in One Piece, it's just implied that all the species gotta coexist. Like, there's implications of a higher power in One Piece, but like, it's very vague. But for Kagurabachi, there just is the Kiyonagi clan. They are the way they are. They just have fantastic healing abilities for themselves and others. There is the Rokuhira clan with this special membrane and Rokuhira Eye. They just are. They just exist. And nobody, the Rokuhira clan is two people. As far as we know, it's just Kunishige and Chihiro. That's all we've seen. There is... Even though, funny enough, the Sogen clan doesn't have necessarily anything unique, because both of their major unique things are tied into their sorcery, right? The Kurutsuchi and the future seeing ability. And the same thing with the Sazanami clan. But of course, those are the Kiyonagi clan and the Kiyonagi clan and the Rokuhira clan aren't the only ones with unique abilities, because we have the Mikaboshi having extreme life force and stuff like that. So like, there are unique things and details that, you know, the Rokuhira specifically having a biological ability tied to a special membrane, which is purely biological, does make sense based on how Hokuto Sensei has built the world so far. So I like that. Because sometimes authors just won't do that, and then drop something completely new on you and be like, deal with it. And of course, you're consuming the narrative, so unless you stop reading it, you're going to deal with it. But still, I like it when it's like this. Let's see.
Because swordsmiths are constantly staring into hot flames with their naked eyes, many lose their eyesight. His eyes regenerate. They get burned by the heat, and then they heal. As the process repeats, his eyesight gets stronger, much like how muscles grow throughout the process of damaging and healing the muscle fibers.
Interesting. Regenerative eyes exclusively. I mean, that makes sense. That would also explain why Chihiro's eyes are remarkably strong, because he also spent a lot of time in the forge with his father growing up, and then he's taking a lot of damage in battle, some of it being to his eyes, which would regenerate and get stronger. But that's interesting. So his eyes work like muscles, which ours don't. They just deteriorate. They just decay. Fun fact, if you couldn't already tell this by my avatar, and I won't even say early videos because I haven't really wore glasses during my videos, but I am nearsighted. Like, not horrifically bad, but nearsighted enough that I did need glasses, especially back when I was still in school, because I was tall, so I sat in the back of the class. But while I still definitely do occasionally put them on at like dark and rainy nights, I don't wear my glasses most of the time. And as a byproduct, my eyes have actually become slightly stronger. Like, the prescription I have is technically outdated because my eyes have gotten a little bit stronger because they've trained enough. But your eyes aren't like typical muscles, right? You can't really train them. Well, I think you can train your eyesight and things you can do with it, but you can't like blinking a whole lot isn't going to do anything to increase your eye gains like lifting weights would for your muscles. So yeah, that is a unique Rokuhira thing, that they regenerate and get stronger and can get more defined and see more detail over time. Very interesting. Let's see.
Healing the muscle fibers. So his eyes get better the more he looks at the fire. Yeah, he was born in the forge, Katana.
Interesting, they keep saying he specifically, so maybe this is just a unique mutation for him specifically. Joji's like, alright, so you all gaslight me effectively, but still.
Yes, but still, that doesn't change the fact that this is dangerous. When you heat the Datenseki, its particles get more and more active as the temperature rises. At around
wait, no, this is Kunishige.
When you heat the Datenseki, its particles get more and more active as the temperature rises. At around 1,000 degrees, it reaches its limit and explodes. But, if we vary the rate at which we raise the temperature, we can throw off the particles' rhythm. By raising the temperature slowly while suppressing the activity of the particles, it should be possible to reach the iron ore's fusion temperature without triggering an explosion.
Interesting. So this is the secret process to actually forging Datenseki, which we know Sojo could never figure out. Very interesting. Very interesting. Let's see. I love how Mr. Joji is legit just like us, and like, what all this mean though? Let's see.
With Tatar smelting, it's possible.
Alright, so specifically with their main forging style, let's see.
Wait. Are you seriously convinced by this half-baked reasoning?
Oh, okay, so even I was about to say probably, but no, he doesn't. Subaru isn't.
Not really. Not really. What? I'm convinced by his talent.
Ah, right. And there are many, like, that is a real thing in the real world. And it is, and I like, have I ever done it specifically? No, not really. I mean, like, I've always been relatively talented at speaking and communicating. So I remember there was a speech I had to write when I was younger, and it specifically got me like a guy who was good at writing speeches, and he did do edits a lot to my speech, and like the thing I did end up having to end up going with, but he looked at the foundation of what I was doing, and he was like, "And you're how old? Have you done this before?" And I was like, "Once, like once, like I had done a speech that previous year that had like that God got me a lot of accolades," and he was like, "You're natural at this," and I was like, "Oh, like thank you." And I didn't really do much with it afterwards, other than like minor public speaking things or like presentations and stuff. But now, shock horror, I technically public speak every day whenever I do my videos. That's it. But all that being the case, I've had moments like that where people have just trusted me based on my innate ability, and also yeah, I've seen it all the time where some athletes don't practice as hard or don't practice in the traditional ways because of how talented they are, and because of things that only they can do. So I believe it is true to life, where some people will put faith in others based on what they can see of their actual ability that exists in the moment, without fully agreeing with their logic or patterns, because clearly what they're doing works for them. Let's say. That doesn't mean that talented people can't be refined by others, though, as I've seen many of the opposite case, where talented people are pushed even beyond their base talent by having a person who's like, okay, cool story that you're amazing at this, that, and the third already. Let's work to make you even better at X, Y, and Z. Let's see.
It's not merely his God-given gifts. He can actually see the particles themselves. It's the fruit of many long hours, sitting in front of those flames.
Right, if you can identify each of them individually, that is impressive.
Let's see what you can do.
Alright. Shockingly enough, it's probably been a few minutes. Government hasn't gone to him yet. Let's see. Flames are roaring.
The practice of Tatara predates thermometers, as they work with the materials.
Oh, interesting. So they were legit eyeballing it back then.
The artisans are attuned to the fluctuations of the color and shape of the flames, the sound of the fire, the smells, the heat. They adapt the force of the bellows and the quantity and the timing of the coal and the iron sand supply through precise observation. The temperature in the furnace is already over 1200.
Wow. Alright. So they've passed the explosion point. Let's see.
It's over 1,000. It hasn't exploded.
So that's probably... I wonder if the government is here and is observing and has used a thermometer and read it and been like, everything hasn't gone boom yet. Hold on a second. Let's see.
It hasn't exploded? It could explode at any moment. Everything's riding on Rokuhiro's talent. If you're concerned for your life, you should go.
Ah, Mr. Joji, he's too locked in now. He's too locked in. He probably dies. We haven't seen him, I don't think. Let's see.
Dot. We're not working with fancy smelting theory and formulas. We're going on experience, feel, and our 5 senses.
And I love how excited Super is to do that too. He's like he genuinely seems intrigued and excited to be working with Rokuhiro. Probably because this is the first time he's met someone with that same passion and talent that he has. Let's see.
Man versus materials.
And we know that ultimately man did win eventually. Let's see. And there's the liquid, I assume, that's going to be used to forge the katana itself. Alright, let's see.
There's the first Noro.
Shiva looks excited. Mr. Joji just like he's confused.
Noro is the slag of the impurities expelled from the steel during smelting. It's evidence that the steel is purifying.
Ah, okay, so it's not used to forge katana. Let's
see. This is just the beginning. Now, we tame the gods.
I see, because the Dataseki is a guy. Alright. To be continued. Alright, a very personal, a very involved, but W chapter. Alright, I like it. A good chapter to end on for a break, too. Obviously, we know the Enchanted Blades have ended up getting forged. We don't know how many mistakes or experiments it took. And now that we do know that the Dataseki themselves are going to, or the Enchanted Blades themselves are going to be a lot less pure than I thought, pure Dataseki than I thought they were, that does explain to, like, retroactive information, like why Sojo was so focused on the Kiyonagi clan and using them to try and stabilize the Dataseki, why he was so focused on the amount of Dataseki he was using, because he just didn't know. He didn't have all the information, and he guessed, like we did, or at least I assumed. I'm not sure if anyone else knew, but I thought the blades were mostly forged of pure Dataseki. They clearly aren't. They're a lot more distilled, and thusly those explain the mistake that Sojo was making, and thusly they also reestablish a lot of things for how the next Enchanted Blade, the new N10 and possibly the next Cloud Gouger are going to be made, which is going to be very interesting to see. And I also do like seeing how Mr. Joji, of all people, a person from the government at the time, is also falling into that same fascination with Rokuhira in the same way that Subaru himself did. It's nice to get characterization for Subaru as being someone so excited to see the potential of Rokuhira in action. And all of this does build to the inevitable tragedy that we know that this man will die far before his time, thanks to the actions that will allow him to tame the gods. So overall, a W chapter. Hit for the 2 times. So if you didn't only see this video, please do me a favor and leave I on Divinity. I as in EYE on Divinity in the comment section down below. I want to thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that leads to notifications so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, soon to have a page down below. You support me for as low as $1. Come on, no more. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. So now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include the live reactions, so the issues I am to review, I do reactions on all my videos, early ad free access on my videos, early ad free access not just on my videos on the main channel, but all my videos on the second channel. That called the reaction link in the description down below. And in the card to the upper right hand corner. On top of that, I do have a link to my Ko-Fi down below. We drop 5 videos a short video, 20 videos on a video, or any support is always greatly appreciated. Now I want to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is that guy with the pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our sketch tier members: Red Bull 4765, Astro, Glacier XZ, Zera, J2MA, Buddha Ura, Yuki Ally, Grim, Ollie, Corey Watson, Damon Brown, Tim Thomas, Kaving, RXN, Dead Meat, Keon Stewart, Edwin Igbinoba, Straw, Antavius Mitchell, Weary Exile, Alex Kenny, Todd, The Practical One, Landon Clapwick, Heath Nelson, CAET, Plant Grown, Brandon Payne, Multi-Batman Superman, Zalim, Sleepin' John, Mocity King DKG, Union Eye, Athenzi Shear, Sino King, CCC, Axis Hexy, Praise the Sun, Magic, Andreen Bonnet, at JDog2656, Sheesh King, AZ Void, Sky XT, Felix, The Young Family Pastel Pandora, John Malcolm, Donovan McIntosh, Black Doctor Strange, Superflame Zero, Vlad, Victor Gabriel Velasquez, Ben Koo, Nevis97, and Not Drippy. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our line art tier patrons: A+A, Kevin Encarnacion, Lucas Stace, Midnight Lord 21, and Shaw. And I'd like to give a thank you to our Ink tier member, Shrimpo the Force Shrimp 06. And I'd like to give a thank you to our digital art tier member, Jay Warrior. And I'd like to give a thank you to our colored art tier patrons, Walking Munoz and Joaquin Munoz.